Fishing for largies can be tricky, especially if you're just starting out. In this video, I'm answering the most common fishing questions pertaining to smallmouth and largemouths, from the best lures to the right gear and techniques. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to up your game, stick around because you might learn something new. Let's get started. What time of day is best for bass fishing? Early morning, sunrise to 9 a.m., is typically the best time. Largemouths are active and feeding, especially on topwater lures. Late afternoon, 4 p.m. to sunset, is another great feeding window, especially in the shallows. Do largemouths bite better before or after a storm? If you said the bite is better before a storm, you would be correct. The drop in barometric pressure before a storm makes largemouths more aggressive and likely to bite. After a storm, the bite can slow down, especially if the weather clears up and the pressure rises quickly. How does water temperature affect largemouth activity? Below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, largemouths are sluggish and prefer slow-moving baits. Within 50 to 60 degrees, they start feeding more and moving into shallower water. 60 to 75 degrees is the ideal feeding range. Largemouths are very active and aggressive. Above 80 degrees, they often retreat to deeper, cooler water during the day and feed more at dawn and dusk. How do I target and catch bigger largies? In order to catch bigger largemouths, most of the time you will need to fish deeper. Bigger largies often stay in deeper water, especially in pressured lakes. Use larger baits. Swim baits, oversized jigs, and big worms help attract trophy fish. Another thing you want to do is fish a slower retrieve. Big largemouths tend to be more cautious. A slower presentation works better. Finally, target isolated cover. Single laydowns, rock piles, or lone stumps often hold bigger fish. What color lure should I use? What color bait you should use typically depends on water and light conditions. For clear water, natural colors like green pumpkin, watermelon, or shad works well. In stained water, chartreuse, white, or darker colors like black/blue is optimal. For muddy water, high contrast colors like black, red, or bright chartreuse will do the trick. In low light, dawn, or dusk, use darker colors for silhouettes, white or flashy for visibility. Do largies prefer live bait or artificial lures? Largies will strike both, but when it comes to comparison, live bait can sometimes be more effective depending on conditions. Let's break down the live bait first. Live bait can often produce more consistent results, especially for beginners or when largies are being finicky. The best live baits for largies goes as follows. Number 1 on the list are shiners and minnows. Excellent for targeting big boys, especially in lakes with a lot of bait fish. Coming in at number 2. Night crawlers are a universal bait that largies find hard to resist. Also great for beginners. At number 3 we have crawfish. These are natural prey and are most effectively used near rocky bottoms. For fishing near vegetation, frogs and salamanders work well. Artificial lures are typically the go-to choice for most anglers because they offer versatility and allow for different presentations. The list for best artificial lures based on outside sources goes as follows. Coming in at number 1 is plastic worms. Whether you use Texas rig, wacky rig, Ned rig, or other rigging techniques, the plastic worms is a staple in fishing for largies. At number 2 we have crankbaits. These lures are effective for covering water quickly and mimicking bait fish. Number 3, spinnerbaits and chatterbaits. Both work well in murky water or when largies are feeding aggressively. At number 4, we have topwater lures such as frogs, poppers, whopper ploppers, and so on. These lures provide exciting surface strikes and are best used in low light conditions. Finally, at number 5, jigs are great for targeting largies in deeper water or around structure. How do you release largies properly to keep them healthy? Congratulations! You just caught a largemouth. The first thing to keep in mind is to minimize handling. Wet your hands before touching the fish to protect its slime coat. Also, you want to support the belly. Do not hold big largies vertically for too long, as it can injure them. Revive if necessary. If the fish is struggling, hold it in the water by the tail and move it back and forth to get water flowing over its gills. Avoid deep hooking. If the fish is gut hooked, cut the line as close to the hook as possible rather than pulling it out. What are the best techniques for fishing heavy cover? The first technique for heavy cover is flipping and pitching. This technique is ideal for fishing around thick vegetation, docks, or laydowns. You want to use a short, controlled cast to drop your lure into precise spots without making a big splash. Let the bait sink, give it a few subtle hops, then move to the next target. For situations like thick grass, a technique called punching works effectively. Use a heavy tungsten weight, 3/4 to 2 ounces, to break through dense mats of hydrilla, milfoil, or lily pads. You want to pair it with a Texas-rigged soft plastic, craw, creature bait, or beaver-style bait. Drop the lure through the mat, let it sit for a second, then give it a couple of small hops. When it comes to heavy cover, frogging in grass and pads works well. A hollow body frog is great for working over thick vegetation without snagging. Use a steady walking motion or short pops in open pockets. When a base strikes, wait a second before setting the hook to ensure a solid hookup. Finally, swim jigs and chatterbaits are great for fishing through grass and submerged brush. Use braided line so you can rip the bait free if it gets hung in weeds. Retrieve steadily with occasional twitches to trigger reaction bites. That wraps up the most common bass fishing questions. Hopefully, this helps you catch more fish and improve your game out on the water. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more fishing tips and challenges, and drop a comment if you have any other bass fishing questions that I will include in a part 2. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.